Redfin has started to put out some very interesting housing information based on May numbers. I fully expect the doomers and crash bros to jump over all of it. And I just want to give you the math and really talk about what is going on in the housing market. Folks, it looks like Florida is taking it on the chin. Florida saw a drop of 3.1% month on month. More on why in a minute. But folks, it is mathematically correct to annualize, which I expect many people to do. Take 3.1 times it by 12, and then you could technically say housing, if annualized in the state of Florida, is down 36%. Folks, don't believe the hype. That's not how it's going to go. Housing doesn't go in that direction. But hey, lots of people like to use scary headlines. In fact, look at the title of this video. It says 36%. But again, we bring you the reality. We bring you the math. That's not how it's going to work. But it is interesting to look at Florida and ask yourself, why? What is going on in Florida? Why was there a 3.1% drop? And if you guys don't know, it is really about insurance. In the state of Florida, if you're not aware, insurance has gone up quite significantly, lots of weather events, hurricanes, and the like. But let's try to put some numbers on this. For the average house in Florida, if you assume that average house in the state of Florida is $350,000, did you know, and I did not know this, did you know that the average insurance today on a $350,000 house is $9,462? That's almost $800 a month just for insurance. Ouch. And according to this article at Redfin, it talked about that being roughly a 30% jump since 2021. So again, insurance is a big deal in Florida. It's really changing the affordability equation and causing a lot of folks who are on fixed income to frankly have to go somewhere else. So again, you could say that annualized Florida is down 36%, but that's just not how housing works, as all of you know by now. If we stay on the housing front, Wells Fargo has updated their home price call. Again, this is median home price for the country. Originally, they had plus 3% for 2025. They are now 2.6%, so slightly smaller than that. That said, I have not changed my opinion all year. We are still +1 to -1, aka flat. It's frankly been my call for a couple of years now that housing would just be flat. Interesting to note about rate cut decisions. Again, we have a Fed rate meeting on Wednesday. We have the dot plot on Wednesday. We're going to figure out what the 19 Fed folks have to say about when the first and when the next rate cuts are coming. I thought it was interesting to look at the breadth of the experts. We have Bank of America and Morgan Stanley saying or forecasting 0 cuts in 2025. On the other side of that, we have Wells Fargo and UBS calling for 100 basis points, aka 4 cuts. So it is pretty interesting to see that the experts have still a very wide range from 0 to 4 cuts. Folks, I'm not even, let's think. We have a rate meeting this week, June, July, September, December. There's only like 4 meetings left. So according to Wells Fargo and UBS, one of those meetings has to be a double cut, or perhaps they'll have an emergency cut. So again, pretty interesting. Don't know if you guys watched the All In podcast this weekend, but Chamath Palihapitiya talked about tariffs bringing in an estimated $300 billion in new revenue. That then helping with lower rates, perhaps saving another $300 billion. You throw on top of that the Doge cuts of what, $100 billion. I don't know. Is that bending the curve? I hope so. All right, we need to show that we can get this deficit under control. We can't go from 38 trillion to 39 to 40 to 41 to 42. The system blows up. We've got to bend the curve, and hopefully we can do that. To that end, Bank of America is making a very interesting call on gold. Gold, they're saying, will be over 4,000 an ounce in the next 12 months. which I thought was an interesting call. Talking about the dot plot again, what's going to be most interesting to me is how many Fed presidents still forecast 2 cuts in 2025, how many have 1, and how many brave souls are willing to say 0. We will also see their forecast on unemployment. Do they see it going higher than 4.6? Inflation, do they see that moderating or breaking? And of course, GDP or growth of the U.S. economy. All things will be important. We did get the first economic report this morning, the Empire Manufacturing Survey, and it was ugly. It was really ugly. It was negative 9.2 last month. It was expected to get slightly better to negative 6.3. It actually was negative 16. So that is a big miss to the downside. And manufacturing has yet to pick up in the Empire, or AKA New York area. Goldman Sachs is out lowering their odds of a recession, saying that tariffs won't be as big a threat to the U.S. economy as expected. Goldman lowered their recession odds to 30% from 35%. Again, a slightly lowered revision. However, folks, they are noting that continuing claims are at a 4-year high. This is actually a pretty big deal. I've said for quite a while now, this unemployment cycle is not going to be about the unemployment rate. It's going to be about duration, AKA continuing claims. So keep watching that. Tomorrow, we're going to get retail sales. It's hard data. We did see an improvement in consumer sentiment and consumer expectations recently, but that is all soft data. We need hard data. We're going to get our first cut of the U.S. consumer tomorrow. Is retail sales growing? Is the consumer still scared? Are they still saving, or are they spending? We will find out tomorrow. Looks like the U.S. Steel and Japan Nippon Steel acquisition is going to go through after an executive order from President Trump. It is interesting to note that this merger or this acquisition is done with a golden share. The U.S. government now has a golden share, something that I have not heard of before. We got to dig in. What I think it means, and again, I haven't read about it, but just guessing what it means, is in times of national security, the President of the United States can basically take over U.S. Steel, because, again, the last thing we want is foreigners controlling our capabilities of building planes and ships and drones and all of that stuff. But hey, looks like that's going to go through with the caveat of a golden share. More on that later. It's going to be interesting to look at mortgage apps this Wednesday when it comes out. Purchase apps, again, we're up 20%. Is this signal or is this noise? Again, as I've talked about for quite a while now, 6 weeks or so, I think the uncertainty is getting better and better. One of the first signs that the consumer is getting less uncertain is mortgage applications. It's one of the first steps in the buying cycle. I think it's interesting to point out, Logan Monteshami from Housing Wire pointed this out, and I think there's something to this, but I want to ask you. Logan pointed out in an article that I read that one of the reasons purchase apps are up is because inventory is up. Interesting. According to Logan, again, 80% of sellers are also buyers. Interesting. So again, if we're having more and more inventory, which means more and more sellers, does that also mean we might have more and more buyers? Again, 80% of sellers are buyers. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I do want to thank Emmanuel, Eric, and Patrick for joining school in the last 24 hours. I checked this morning. We're at 391 folks. Remember, when we get to 400, so 9 more people joining, let's go. I am going to add the Vegas replay to school for free as a thank you. And then when we get to 500, I will add the Get Your Money Right course for free. Again, just giving more and more value. Join the growing group. Get around other people. Get around new and growing wealth builders. That's what you're going to find at One Rental at a Time, is you're going to be around people who are growing wealth, doing the right things, and are just good people. I want to talk about what Pace Morby and Ben Mala are saying. Pace Morby and Ben Mala are saying One Rental at a Time is right. It is time for disrespectful offers. How do I know? Well, Ben Mala on the Iced Coffee Hour said, "What are you doing? I'm lowballing, baby. Pace Morby put out a video yesterday saying lowball offers aren't rude. They are required. Folks, I know there are people out there like Reventure Consulting who puts out a video yesterday, the day before, talking about the second stage of the housing collapse and all of that, where he forecasts some cities going down a whopping 3, 4, 5%, and really gives you the suggestion to wait. I don't see what waiting gets you. I suggest instead you get a buy box, you look at it, and you write some crazy lowball, disrespectful, crazy offers, and you try to find a motivated seller. You make your money when you buy. If you're just going to wait around for somebody to ring a bell, everybody's going to hear the bell. If you haven't learned anything about real estate in the last 5 years, let me tell you this rule of thumb. You want less competition. If you are a buyer, whether you are a first-time home buyer or an investor, you want less competition. You want more supply. You want more motivated sellers. So why wait around for a 5% discount when you can go for 15 or 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever the heck you want today? I don't get it. I don't get it. If Pace Morby, Ben Mala, and myself are writing disrespectful offers, I've already told you about an offer I'm writing in about 11 days when days on market hit a certain number. There's a house at $399. I'm writing a $300K cash offer just as an example of doing what I say you should be doing. Again, the second stage of the housing crash, it's a cute headline. Go get your deals now. Go write the offers now. Figure out what a great deal is for you and act and strike before everybody wakes up. Obviously, it looks like the Israel and Iran conflict is still going on. I am watching oil, gold, and the 10-year note. It does appear that oil peaked at 77 last night during the skirmishes. It's down a little bit today. Gold, 10-year note. Again, these are things to watch because, again, if oil spikes, this could be very inflationary going forward. After the close today, we will get Lennar earnings. Lennar is one of the largest home builders. Last quarter, they warned of weakness. What were they tell us today? And then finally, the school group, accountability group, just to give you an example of what wealth builders talk about. They talked about health is wealth, private money, looking at a couple of private money opportunities, some applications, and how to track their time. Again, 7 different accountability groups. Join the ones that make sense for you. Ladies of ORaaT, multifamily, out of state, whatever one works for you. And then let me see, do I got anything else? Oh, the last thing, let's give a shout out to our boy Lance Lambert at Resi Club, really talking about construction materials. Looks like construction materials, according to Lance, are up 4.3% year on year. And according to Wells Fargo, the 10-year note at the end of 26, this is important, at the end of 26 will be 4.4%, the 10-year note. I think it's about 4.4 today, might be 4.46. Why is that important to you if you're in real estate? Again, if Wells Fargo is right, if Wells Fargo is right, mortgage rates are going to be what they are today for another 18 months. Another 18 months of high 6s, low 7s. Are you ready for that? That's what Wells Fargo is calling for. Folks, I hope you have an amazing day. That is the daily financial news. Don't forget, you can check me out on Spotify. Just go look up One Rental at a Time. We have over 10 million listens, so thank you for all the support. If you like to listen to Spotify, please look up One Rental at a Time. Give us a follow, let you know what you're doing. You can go to zuberletter.com, sign up for our weekly collaboration with Resi Club. For what is going on in the real estate market. And then we will see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. live. And of course, Steadily Landlord Insurance. If you are a landlord, it's always great to get competitive quotes. I go to Steadily all the time, recently saving me over $1,000 on a 4-plex. Link in the description. Give them a shot. See what's what. Later.